Hi, George Rogers with ChoiceSkills. A few years ago, I had a friend by the name of Bill Knock. And Bill was given the responsibility by the state of Minnesota to put together a vocational school built around the concept of competency-based learning. And the whole idea was that people could enter the school in the curriculum at a level that was consistent with what they already knew, and they could progress as fast as they mastered the knowledge that they needed to have to qualify for that skill. And so some progressed rather slowly and some progressed rather quickly. But they had a very high completion rate, and the school proved to be very successful. And during that time, Bill said to me, you know, most people can learn most things. Maybe not at the same speed, and maybe not even in the same way always. But most people can learn most things, given the interest and the opportunity. I was very struck by that, and you know, it's probably a very good argument for the concept of multiple intelligences. But the key element in this is that no matter how quickly or how slowly you might be able to learn something, your ability to learn it all depends upon your interest, your desire to learn, your motivation to learn. And these probably are closely related to the concept of emotional intelligence and educating our intelligence to help us to recognize the things that are important for us to know and do. Well, I'm reminded of a story, and it's a true story, about a fellow by the name of Dr. Louis Agassiz. Dr. Agassiz was an internationally famous naturalist who lived in the 1800s. And the story is told that after one of his lectures, which was attended by people of culture, of education, of fine dress, who attended these lectures, and after the lecture, a lady approached him who didn't seem to fit. She was middle-aged, kind of stouty, kind of shabby, poorly dressed, and she walked up to him, and she, in a halting voice, somewhat stammering, she said to him, "Dr. Agassiz, I liked your lecture. I'd never had a chance to learn about things like this before." And Dr. Agassiz looked kindly at her and asked her a little bit about her life, and learned that she and her sister had a boarding house, and most of her life, for the last 15 years, had been spent sitting on the bottom step of the kitchen stairs, peeling potatoes and chopping onions. So he asked her, he said, where are your feet while you do this?" She looked at him for a minute and said, "On glazed brick." So he said to her, handed her his card and said, "Write me a letter on the nature of glazed brick." Well, this lady took him seriously and began an adventure that took her from libraries to museums to brickyards, and eventually put together a book of a 36-page letter on the nature of glazed bricks. It proved to be so interesting, Dr. Agassiz had it published and sent her the royalty check for $250 with a note saying, "What's under those bricks?" She wrote back saying, "Ants." And to which he replied, "Tell me about them." Well, she began her research on ants. And she discovered that there are over 2,500 different kinds of ants. Some so small that three of them could fit on the head of a pin, and others an inch long that march in armies a half-mile wide. She learned that there are ants that are blind, and other ants that sprout wings on the day that they die. She learned that there are even peasant ants who are servants to aristocrat ants who live in the neighborhood. There are all kinds of ants, and so she became so intrigued with this, she eventually ended up with a 350-page book, which proved to be so interesting to other people that it was published and provided her enough royalties that she could travel and do many of the things that she wanted to do in life and live very comfortably. Didn't have to just peel potatoes and chop onions all of her life. Well, the great moral of this story, and what I get from it, is that there are no uninteresting things, only uninterested people. Now, I don't know about you, But I've gone through my life paying almost no attention to ants except when they've become a nuisance in one way or another. But apparently there's a whole lot to be learned about them. And I suspect that if I even knew more about them, I would appreciate the important role they play in our environment and in our natural system, in our natural environment. Well, so what do we make of all of this? You know, today we live in a world of almost unlimited access to knowledge and information. In a way, we don't even really need schools or teachers. It's out there. For anybody who has the interest and the motivation to go after it, they can learn it. And it's right there. But we also live in a world of almost unlimited distractions. And these distractions are very appealing, and some of them not all that helpful in any particular way, but just occupying and using up time. And so many young people today are making choices that are not serving them necessarily well right now, and certainly will not serve them well in the future. In fact, I suspect most all of us are making choices that aren't serving us well even now. I mean, when you take a look at some of the challenges facing our nation and nations of the world, and the things that are going on, and coping with natural disasters, and all the kinds of things that are happening now, we need the best minds, the best skills, the best abilities that can be brought to bear on these challenges. And our children are going to have to be really prepared for the world in which they're going to live. Well, we haven't been prepared. They're not being prepared right now because we were not taught, and we are not now teaching them, giving them the tools and resources they need. We're not helping them develop the emotional, social, and thinking skills necessary to thinking rightly, to understand whatever it is, the nature of not only glazed brick, but the nature of human relationships, the nature of human progress, the nature of finance, all the kinds of things that we need to understand as a general group, as not only as individuals, to progress and to have a world that will continue advancing with the technology and all the kinds of things that we're experiencing. So what I'm saying here is that we have great needs. And I'm inviting you to now to visit my ChoiceSkills. If you're interested in what I'm saying, I'd like to invite you to visit my website at choiceskills.com, and where you can learn more about, and you're going to be able to join with me in pursuing this concept of how to help our children develop the emotional, social, and thinking skills necessary to thinking rightly in the 21st century, which is going to be a challenging one for everyone who's a member, who lives in it. So again, this is George Rogers with ChoiceSkills. Look forward to talking to you again next week. Thank you.